Wait, don't do anything. Tell me now, how many tabs do you have open in your browser right now? And how many of those tabs are shopping carts that are waiting to check out? It's Black Friday, everyone! The natural enemy of the shopaholic. Welcome to Planner Apocalypse, by the way. My name is Momo, or Maureen, or Momo-Keen, whatever you want to call me. I am a former, or recovered, or recovering shopaholic. I've come to bring you some good news. You can beat it. And also, how many of those things do you really need that are in your cart? How many? You probably don't need them. You probably don't need them. So, let's see. I read this book in the beginning of the year as part of my recovery journey. And we're gonna go over what I liked about this book, and as a free gift to you guys, because I know that recovery is hard and everyone needs help with this because we live in a capitalist society, okay? So like, I made some notes and a nice calendar that you can use with the notes. You have a portrait calendar that you could put in your big happy planner if you wish. You can have a landscape calendar that you can put on your wall. They are all undated. I'll get into what they look like and how to use them after we go through all 8 pages of notes or something like that. Okay, so the reason this video has taken me like 10 months to make is because I have severe perfectionism issues. And when I'm doing this, I'm like, oh, if I'm doing a report, it has to be like a book report. And I have to script it, it has to be really good. And so then I make it this like big bloated thing, and then I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's too much pressure, man. And then I put it off, and then it doesn't get done. So, while I jotted down my own personal notes from my note-taking little notebook during my thing, I did add some stuff to the printable that you'll get. It might not be as refined or as well edited as it could possibly be, and that's gonna have to be okay, because when it comes to me and making videos and doing stuff like that, I need to just do it, otherwise it doesn't get done. If it becomes too big of a wall or a mountain to climb, it will become too daunting and I'll avoid it. So same with this video. I ramble a lot, so be prepared. We're gonna go into this book. It is a 1989 book. I got the very only one, good grammar, on Amazon. So that's another reason why I made notes and like this little exercise packet, because it's out of print. You can't really find it very easily, and I thought it was very useful, especially given the size. Like, it's this little tiny thing. It was a lot more helpful to me personally than Debtors Anonymous. That being said, if you or your loved one who might be dealing with overspending or overdebting or whatever, you know, do well or better in a group scenario, there's nothing wrong with Debtors Anonymous. It just didn't work for me. That being said, the title of the book is Shopaholics, an 8-week program to control compulsive spending by Janet E. Damon. She is a psychologist or a therapist. Girl, what are you? She is some kind of therapist. I can't find it in the book. I'm so sorry. But she runs Shopaholics Limited, or ran, I don't know if it's actually still in existence, in Manhattan and New York City, where she, you know, ran a recovery program for shopaholics. And in the beginning of this book, the how-to doesn't even start until chapter 7. So that's like more than halfway through the book. That's when you get the how-to, which is what I've condensed for you. All of this here, this is the why. This is the why part, or the possible whys. Since she has dealt with a lot of different clients, she made, you know, different, what do they call them? Like vignette people, example people. What are they? I don't remember. But for example, there's the guy who's buying a lot of camera things to fill a hole in his life, stuff like that. There's even a chapter for partners or spouses of the shopaholic specifically, so that I thought that was really helpful. I made my husband read it. I actually bookmarked a lot of things and had him read up through that. But yes. So going through this, one thing to keep in mind is that any addiction is born from pain and trauma in most cases. The addiction is a symptom of something deeper, because the addiction is how we're coping with thoughts, feelings, and other things that we don't want to face and that we're trying to escape. So that's one thing that we need to keep in mind. This might bring up hard things for you if you were to go through this. So doing this with, a therapist, or a counselor, if you have access to that, is highly recommended by me personally. Also, Damon does recommend, seeking either a group therapy or a therapist or some kind of buddy system, just because dealing with trauma is hard. It's going to be hard. I will say that up front. There is a lot of stuff that you have to deal with, you have to face, and it's not easy. None of it is, and that's okay, but the only way out is through. So yes. The book starts with a checklist, basically, of are you a compulsive shopper? So there's a compulsive shopper checklist. If you want to pause it, if that's clear enough, you can read it, but I will read it for you. Do you take off for the stores when you've experienced a setback or a disappointment, or when you feel angry or scared? That's number 1. Number 2, are your spending habits emotionally disturbing to you, and have they created chaos in your life? Number 3, do your shopping habits create conflicts between you and someone close to you, a spouse, lover, parents, or children, roommates, friends? Number 4, do you buy items with your credit cards that you wouldn't buy if you had to pay cash? Number 5, when you shop, do you feel a rush of euphoria mixed with feelings of anxiety? Number 6, do you feel you're performing a dangerous, reckless, or forbidden act when you shop? Number 7, when you return home after shopping, do you feel guilty, ashamed, embarrassed, or confused? Number 8, are many of your purchases seldom or never worn or used? I have so many unused journals. Don't come for me. Number 9, do you lie to your family or friends about what you buy and how much you spend? This one was a big one for me, and that's why I had to do something about it. Number 10, would you feel lost without your credit cards? Number 11, do you think about money excessively? How much you have, how much you owe, how much you wish you had, and then go out and shop again? Number 12, do you spend a lot of time juggling accounts and bills to accommodate your shopping debts? If an alarm went off and you answered yes to more than 4 of these questions, chances are you're an out-of-control compulsive shopper. But please don't despair. The self-help recovery program outlined in this book can help you learn to control the compulsion to buy. You can learn to enjoy responsible, compulsion-free shopping. To further clarify what constitutes addictive spending, let's examine 10 characteristic problems in the lives of compulsive shoppers. The anxiety release depression syndrome, ongoing chaos, sense of being lost, looking for love in all the wrong places, a sense of powerlessness, perfectionism, feelings of entitlement, anger and hostility, emptiness, and obsession with money. And then, it goes through all of those things, and then it goes through like a lot of different roots of compulsive shopping. We've got the nature of addiction, the story people that she's got here. I can give you the overview that she's got. I can't go through every single one, obviously, for the length of this video, because I was going to read my little printout for you. So yes, we've got Lisa, who frittered her money away in order to avoid dealing with the haunting trauma of childhood sexual abuse. Olivia, the middle-aged wife of an affluent businessman who roamed the stores to escape loneliness and emptiness at home. Anne, who used shopping binges as a way of getting back at her husband whenever conflicts erupted in their troubled marriage. David, who tried to buy friendship by always picking up the tab, but who worked 70 hours a week to support his successful image and extravagant lifestyle. That's another thing that I appreciate about this book, because a lot of the whole image is female or femme appearing, and it is very well rounded across all genders, so it's not just like, you know, a lady problem. So we have Brad, who binged on flashy outfits for the trendy night spots he frequented, desperately trying to forget feelings of inadequacy left over from years as an obese, uncool teen. Marcia, a middle-aged mother who tried to buy her way into the art world, adopting the sophisticated image of a patroness of the arts and alienating her family in the process. Denise, who spent extravagantly on her new baby in an attempt to compensate for her ambivalent, confused feelings about motherhood. 24-year-old Mori, who lived with her parents and spent her paychecks on exercise equipment, hoping a perfect body would bring her a perfect man. Richard, who was hounded by debt collectors, but continued to spend money for expensive camera equipment. He loved the status and feeling of power it gave him. Claudia, the lovely mistress of wealthy older men, who borrowed money from her family to buy designer clothes to impress her lovers. Jamie, who bought duplicates of so many items for her kitchen that she had no money for mortgage payments. Kim, who went through a sudden inheritance of $1 million in 18 months. Girl. So, obviously, these examples can be any gender. It could apply to literally any item or category of item that you yourself have trouble controlling your spending in, right? So, like, for example, Jamie, who bought duplicates of so many items for her kitchen that she had no money for mortgage payments. Insert planners where items for kitchen is here, and that's me. Okay, so like stationary items, planners, that's what I would spend my money on. Yes, that's where the planner apocalypse in my company name comes from, because it's funny. Because I use humor to cope with my miserable feelings. So yeah, so that's basically the rundown of your checklist, and you've got your profiles. That's what I was looking for. You got your like kind of profile of the trauma-based motivations, let's say, okay? So then it goes through a lot, and like I said, I can't go through all of it because it's so much. So I will go into my notes. It's an 8-week program, right? So we've got 8 weeks of goals, and we love goals around here, right? Yes, we do. Week 1 goals: to become aware of your shopping compulsions and accept that it is a serious problem. So that's always our first step, right? Awareness, because we can't fix anything if we're still in denial. If you know it's a problem, try saying it out loud, writing it down on a piece of paper. I have a problem, and if you got a problem, you'll all solve it. Check out my moves while the DJ revolves it. I'm gonna cut that out. After the quote from the book, because I cited my sources up here, I spin a little bit more just to kind of summarize. Never go shopping when you're in a heightened emotional state, whether positive or negative, or if you're feeling very high or low energy. Extremes in either can lead to binging. By using some of the relaxation techniques ahead, learn what it feels like to be relaxed, and only shop if you can be in a relaxed state. Number 2, week 1 goals, number 2. To make a firm commitment to the recovery process. This is going to be a lot of hard work, both internally and externally. We don't develop addictions because they're fun. We develop them because we are trying to cope with and or escape pain and trauma. You may be looking at yourself and facing things that you never have before, or things that you've specifically been avoiding. This is why I will always suggest going through this process with a therapist or counselor if that is accessible for you. Honesty, communication, and daily dedication to the tasks outlined in this program is key for your forward progress. So that's why I set up a recovery journal. I will link that in the cards and below in case you wanted to see how I did it. You don't have to do what I did, but yeah, as with any addiction and recovery is not a destination, it's a process. Recovering is a verb. It's not a thing on the checklist that we like just check off. It's something that we have to continually do and just like cultivate that awareness so that we can, catch it when we're about to do something stupid again. I'm saying this as much for myself as anyone else. Okay, so number 3 is to think about ways to establish a buddy system. While a therapist is great to work with, if that is accessible to you, you can also pick a trusted friend, not a friend you always go shopping with, as this can lead to relapse, or another person in a compulsive shopping recovery program if that suits you. It may not be a great idea to pick your spouse or partner or parents or insert other person here if your compulsive shopping has put a strain on your relationship. You'll need to be able to feel safe being totally honest with this person. And if you've been hiding things from your spouse or partner, this might be difficult, so try to choose a neutral party. So, for example, if you've been hiding purchases from your spouse, you're going to come at the talks feeling overwhelming guilt, especially if they are angry, not receptive, not understanding, or, they could be wonderful and you could still feel overwhelming shame and guilt. And so I would recommend that you just choose a neutral party and be completely honest with. Obviously, you still need to be honest with your spouse or your loved one that might be affected by this, because this is about their life. It's not just about your life. So keep that in mind. Number 4, to become aware of the emotional signals your body sends you by utilizing relaxation techniques. Practice these twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. The first is a progressive relaxation technique. You can find many videos and audio walkthroughs for these on YouTube, so check those out. The next is a deep breathing technique where you breathe in slowly, preferably through your nose, if that is accessible to you, for at least 4 seconds. Let the air fill your lungs and belly completely. Hold for 4 seconds. Then exhale slowly through your nose for at least 4 seconds. Work toward inhaling, holding, exhaling for 7 seconds each, and complete the sequence 7 times. You can also find guided breathing videos on YouTube. You can search for things like box breathing, breath work. Breath work gets a little bit more into holotropic breathing, which is basically hyperventilating. I don't recommend that. Week 2 goals. To cultivate a feeling of strength and power by using creative visualization techniques. So before you say,
"This sounds like some kind of new age woo bullshit,"
you're in the wrong channel for that, but we're gonna explain. So this is not like The Secret, okay? I actually, in this printable, I have a link to a video from Dr. K on YouTube, Healthy Gamer GG. Highly recommend his videos. He is brilliant. When you visualize things, this isn't about I'm going to bring all of the money to me, come to me. This is not that. This is about imagining yourself in a place of power doing something. So you are taking action, you are imagining the feelings in your body so that when you go to do that thing, you can recall what it felt like to do those things. And like that. Dr. K does a lot better job explaining. Okay, so you're going to do a creative visualization after you complete a relaxation technique. So that's either, your box breathing, deep breathing, or your progressive relaxation technique. You can also look up progressive muscle relaxation. There is a written thing in here. So I'm going to read the progressive relaxation technique. I will try to use my calm voice. And I'm going to see if I can make like an MP3 for you to download as well. Maybe I'll make a separate video in case you want to listen to it as well. Great. Progressive relaxation technique. From Shopaholics, an 8-week program to control compulsive spending by Janet E. Damon. During this exercise, keep your eyes closed and breathe slowly and deeply through your nose if possible. Lie down on your back on a soft surface. Don't use a pillow. Extend your legs and arms comfortably at your sides. You are going to focus on relaxing every part of your body. Take as long as you need to fully relax each part. Relax the top of your head. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyeballs. Relax your nose. Relax your cheeks. Relax your ears. Let your head sink into the floor and relax. Relax your abdomen. Relax your pelvic area. Relax your lower back, letting it sink into the ground. Feel the relaxation entering the deepest level of your body. Relax your right arm from shoulder to elbow, elbow to wrist. Relax your entire right hand, thumb, pointer, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. Relax your left arm from shoulder to elbow, elbow to wrist. Relax your entire left hand, thumb, pointer, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. Let your arms and hands go. Relax your right leg from thigh to knee, knee to ankle. Let your heel sink into the ground and relax your right foot. Relax each toe. Relax your left leg from thigh to knee, knee to ankle. Let your heel sink into the ground and relax your left foot. Relax each toe. Let your entire body relax and sink into the floor. You don't have to be anywhere or do anything. Just be in the moment and relax. Trust that it is safe to let your body relax. The universe will protect you and provide for you. If negative thoughts enter your mind, let them go and return your focus to your breath. Picture yourself letting go of all negativity as you exhale. As you inhale, visualize peace and relaxation with every breath. So Damon says, stress is one of the greatest enemies of mental and physical well-being. Scientific studies have proven that stress can contribute to headaches, backaches, digestive disorders, chronic pain, and a host of serious illnesses. Stress and its accompanying anxiety can also make a person seek relief through an addictive behavior such as shopping. How often have you gone shopping because you had a tense situation at home or work? Stress is inevitable, but practicing relaxation techniques will help prevent it from taking a toll on your physical and mental health. So that's that. After you use your relaxation technique, you're going to do your creative visualization technique, and that is so that we can just calm down and center before we get into our heads, because we spend too much time up here to escape all of this stuff in here. So the purpose is to get to know what our bodies feel like. Personally speaking, that's difficult for me. for a lot of people with trauma, it's very difficult to like fully inhabit our bodies because our bodies have, in some cases, been traumatized. So if that's you, I feel you. So the next part of the week 2 goals is to use affirmations. Yes, I know. You don't have to say anything. I hate using affirmations! So you're going to use affirmations as daily reminders and positive reinforcement. So instead of, you know, like, I am so great, or like, I am rich and wonderful and all that other stuff, if those things are too much for you because your brain's like, I don't buy that because I buy everything else in the store, then try something smaller. If you're not in a spot where saying something like, I am fiscally responsible feels comfortable, even saying that, if you feel like your body is contracting, don't use that. So if that feels out of reach, try modifying it by recognizing you are still a work in progress. I am working toward becoming fiscally responsible. There are tons of affirmations that you could use. The key is to use something here that applies to you and your situation. Remember that this compulsive overspending or shopping stems from pain or trauma. So if you have support and feel safe doing so, try building your affirmations slowly around these things. For example, if you normally talk very harshly to yourself and saying, I love and accept myself makes you itch all over, you can start with, I see myself doing X and am working on accepting that. I see myself overspending and I am working on accepting that. I see myself being kind and I am working on accepting that. You're going to do, both the good and the bad because that's what we are. We are all an amalgamation of good and bad, everything. And the faster that we can accept both parts and integrate the shadow in with the light, the sooner we can start moving forward. There's no need to jump into the big guns right away because this is going to be a process, just like us. Week 3 goals. Your goal in the 3rd week is to bring order and control into your life by organizing your possessions and making lists of them. This is where I love digital tools because you have the search function. So go into your Notes app or Google Keep if you're an Android user, Notion, any kind of thing with a search function. You can do like Google Docs. I would make sure that it's on the cloud and it's accessible from wherever you are so that when you go out shopping, it's going to be right there on your phone. Here we go. Organization is imperative to diminish the chaos in your life. An orderly physical environment is more conducive to a peaceful state of mind. You do not want to see the amount of chaos that's in my house right now. That's another story. Organizing your external world will help organize your inner world and lessen the anxious feelings that lead to compulsive spending. This is specifically asking you to take stock of whatever item category that you personally have trouble curbing your spending around, whether that's clothing or electronics, etc. Planners for me. It's helpful to know what you already have so you don't end up buying even more of the same thing and end up with 32 black ties or 20 mascaras that are all going to go bad before you can even use them all. That said, this process might be profoundly uncomfortable since you'll be confronting the results of your shopping binges, as Damon puts it. Do not be judgmental with yourself and do not be discouraged. This will probably take time, so let it take as much time as it needs to and don't rush through it. This is also a good way to burn up nervous energy that you'd be burning off by compulsive spending. That's a typo! By compulsive shopping. Also of note, I recently learned from Dr. K on YouTube that doing handiwork as we think about our emotions or emotional situations actually helps us to process those emotions so we're not pushing them down or aside, which I thought was really interesting. So try to think of this inventory taking as a way to also take inventory and sort your emotions. Try not to listen to any audiobooks or podcasts while you do this. I think music is fine, but you want your thoughts to go. You want to engage in your thoughts and your mental goblins. Once you're all done organizing your stuff, keep your categorized lists with you. Your phone is probably the easiest place to keep them because, again, this book was written in 1989, so like I had to update quite a bit. Mostly it's good, but you know, there's still stuff that could use a modern approach, I suppose. When you are tempted to buy yet another planner, that's me, remind yourself of how much work and time it took to organize all of your planner stuff or whatever category you're working on, because you're going to keep these lists updated. As soon as you buy something, you're going to add it to the list. This isn't like a one and done thing. This is I'm going to keep track because awareness is key, right? We're up to week 4. That's great. I'm going to make chapters in this video. Your goal in the 4th week is to get in touch with your internal rhythms and your spending habits by keeping a daily checklist. And that's where these calendars come into play. For those of you who are just here for the spending shopaholicness of this video, I'm a designer by trade. I am a graphic designer. I make planners. So keeping track of your daily checklist on a calendar kind of thing makes sense to me. So that's what I did. And they're undated. You get portrait, and it's a both a Monday and Sunday start, and a horizontal in both Monday and Sunday start. Great. I'm going to choose this one to show you a close-up. Or maybe, you know what, I might just like put the JPEG here and just zoom in. So for the purposes of this little freebie, and since I'm here at Plannerpocalypse, I've converted the daily checklist into a monthly calendar attached at the end of the packet. The daily checklist will enable you to chart your level of energy, your level of movement, or how active you are that day, and your feelings or mood. You'll also indicate in red pen whether you thought about shopping a great deal that day by writing an S and then circle it if you actually shopped that day. You can also, if you did shop that day, do the red S with the circle and then write down how much money you spent, or you could write down what category you spent on. Obviously, this is no surprise, but one of the tools in this book is to set up a budget, but that's actually not until later. So that, you know, for a lot of people, that's like the first thing to do. I'm going to take control of my spending. I'm going to set up a budget. And yes, but first, let's do some housekeeping. So that's another thing that I appreciated about this book. There is a little bit of setup that before you just like go hard. Do some relaxation techniques before you fill out your daily checklist, since it can be confronting or activating or triggering, if you like that word, depending on where you are and how you're feeling, and if you're recording something upsetting. So let's say you had a relapse, you are feeling absolutely shitty, and you're like, I have to update my thing. I have to own this, and I feel terrible. This is the time to practice self-compassion, because, you know, like recovery is not a straight line. Like I said, it's going to be a process. We are learning new ways of coping with our pain. So when you take things away that we normally gravitate towards, it can be confronting. It's difficult. So just try to be kind to yourself during these times if you have them. If you don't, great, good for you. But everybody's journey is going to look different. After the month is up, you're going to study your little calendar, and then you're going to look for patterns, like a little sleuth. You're going to note what levels of energy, movement, and feelings were on the days when you went shopping or thought about it obsessively, because another part is to curb the obsessing, and I actually get into that later. I talk about what I did that helped me. Some can involve energy, movement, mood, a combination, the day of the week, such as, oh, it's payday, let's spend all my money, or the weekend, or maybe holidays, where you're just dropping all of your money on every single person in your family, even the distant cousins. And if that's you and you have the means to do that, good on you. Go treat your family, your loved ones. If you do not have the money to shower your loved ones with gifts, you need to start being kinder to yourself, because that is just hurting you in the long run. And, you know, your family, if they love you, they're not going to want to hurt you. So I know, like, they say gifts are a love language and stuff, but what about how you love yourself? Okay, like, I know we talk about that a lot in today's society, self-love and such, but like, think about it. What is your personal love language? Also, keep in mind whether you had a big event happen, whether that is a very happy event or a very sad event or a very frustrating event. Just try to keep a note. That's why I picked the 𝕻𝖎𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊 for my recovery journal, because it's a daily planner. Give me this. So, whoopsie, I just dropped everything. So you have, you know, like, the day, every single page is a day, is a different day. I did a flip of this in my July Hobonichi setup, so I'll link that over here, and everything fell out of it. But so I am not recommending that you buy this. You can literally just use the free printable here. You can just use a spiral notebook. You can use your notes app. You can use any sort of free things. Please don't buy anything specific. All right, yeah, be honest and gentle with yourself. And so, yeah, it may take a while to discover your pattern, and it may also be that you have no pattern and your compulsive spending is erratic. Keep going with the checklist, though, to observe yourself, because once again, we want to be mindful, we want to observe, we want to be aware. So, if you discover a pattern, try to catch yourself before succumbing to the shopping urge. On the days you are most likely to binge, delay shopping by using the methods discussed in the week 6 section. We are now up to week 5. This is going to be a long video. Sorry. You know, there was a lot to cover, so I really hope that this is going to be helpful for you folks, because I know how it feels to struggle through this. Week 5 goals, okay? We have 3 more after this. Your goal in the 5th week is to embark on a process of self-discovery by keeping a journal. I know some people don't like journaling, and that's okay. I am a huge advocate for journaling, so, like, you know, this book is speaking my language. But if you are not a journaler, I'm going to plug Dr. K again, because he has a video. I'm going to write this down. Hold on. Dr. K has a video on how to journal, and also Struthless on YouTube has a video on how to journal, how to actually journal. So one from a psychologist and one from my favorite Australian crazy man. So I'll update this printable so that they will be clickable links, and so you can just, yeah, like the PDF has links in it that you can click. So that's why modern technology is the best. Okay, as a recovering planner and stationery addict and avid journaler, this one pleases me deeply, like I just said. If you want to make changes, this is Janet Damon talking. If you want to make changes, you must take stock of yourself intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. In your journal, you can write about everyday events in your life and take a fresh look at them. You can let your mind wander into new definitions of yourself and explore your relationships. You can tap into your creativity and explore new ideas. Before writing, you're going to use a relaxation technique. These things are going to come in handy a lot. So if you can't do the progressive relaxation, do the box breathing, do the deep breathing, because you can do that anywhere. You don't need anything in your ears. You just count in your head and you breathe. That's it. So that goes anywhere. That's like #1 tool, I would say. So before writing, use a relaxation technique. Then just let it flow. Do not police your journal. This is for your eyes only, unless you feel like sharing it with your buddy or therapist/counselor. Write as often as possible, preferably every day if you can. And even if you're just writing one line a day, they have 1 line a day journals. Like, you don't have to buy anything specific, but again, if you just do it in Google Docs or your notes app, just make sure you keep track of things. The notes app on your phone or any of the many writing or journaling apps out there are great for this if you need accessibility, because we want to be able to capture these things when they happen. And that's why digital tools are great, because most of us always have our phones on us. We don't always have our journal with us, which I'm having a lot of issues with this year, but that's okay. Some people prefer doing it digitally. Some people prefer doing it by hand. Whatever your preference is, do that. You can hook writing into your journal onto a habit that you're already doing. For example, let's say you're making your coffee or tea in the morning. If you imbibe hot beverages in the morning, you can take that time to do your deep breathing while the tea is steeping or the coffee is brewing. Then you can sit down with your 𝕻𝖎𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖉 of choice and write a few lines in your journal. Personally, I'm more of an evening journaler, so I like to run through the events of my day. I've done morning pages before, and they feel very rambly, and I'm like, I don't know what to rant about. If you are a scripter, you can do that. I like to take stock of my day's events and dump my feelings. If I do any AM journaling, it's either gratitude or something I'm looking forward to in the day, nothing too much, because again, I like to dump my feelings. Also, I like to dump my feelings just randomly, just on a random page, not random, but like on the next page. You know, if there's something big happening in my life that I need to process, I will just write and write and write until I hit something and then write some more. So it's very strange what you can extract from yourself. Start small, maybe one line a day, and build from there. Try it at different times to see what feels good for you. Not that I'm trying to plug any sort of products. However, this is the 𝕻𝖎𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖊 Weeks. This is from 2020. It was a thing that I used. This has a weekly spread. Let me get a blank one. I know I have some. That looks like this. So your days are here in this like horizontal thing, and then you have this blank grid page. Muji also has planners that look like this. What you could do with something like this is write your one line a day, and then write like a weekly summary of how things went. You can also keep track of, since this also has monthly calendars. I don't want to show you my budgeting. Where'd you go? I need a blank calendar, please. Yeah, it's not blank, but that's fine. But yeah, you could use this to do your printable stuff. This is a little small, but you can use a bullet journal like so. It doesn't have to be something fancy. So, you know, this is a thing that I drew out. You know, you've got your dates over here, so you could write your feelings or the one line a day. This is just like a page to-do list. Bullet journals are really, 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 really versatile, which is why I recommend them to literally everybody. We're not going to get into any more of that now. I'm going to go off on a tangent. Let's reel it in. Okay, yeah. Start small, maybe one line a day, and build from there. Try it at different times of day to see what feels good for you, because, you know, some people are morning pages kind of people. Some people are evening summary kind of people, you know, the daily report. And that's fine. Whatever's going to work for you is going to be the one that you do. And this may also change depending on your mood and situation, and that's okay. So another thing that I like to avidly preach is that things change. Things change all the time. There's like the only thing that doesn't change is that there is change. Our lives are going to happen, and so being able to be flexible, I'm saying this as a perfectionist with OCD, so it's real hard, but being able to be flexible and allow things to be a little wibbly wobbly, that's going to be to your benefit, especially when you're in recovery, because one of the things that pushes us into addiction is perfectionism. So if that's you, because it was me, be flexible and be gentle with yourself. This is a process, and it might not work for a while. You're gonna have to try on different things, and that's okay. Just don't have any expectation of what this needs to look like, or that it needs to be a certain way, because that can stifle the flow when you're writing, and then you won't journal. So, for example, I showed you, why do I keep making a mess? For example, I showed you my recovery journal, and as you'll notice, like, I have some stickers in here, I've got some printables in here. This is actually from Self-Love Rainbow. She's got a whole sobriety printable, and I love her printables. I love her printables. So, like, there's a lot of extra stuff in here that you may not need. I am an artist, so I like to art and express myself creatively, but that's not necessary if that's, not what you're into. You don't have to make your journal look like anybody else's, okay? It can be a literal ugly ass spiral notebook, or like composition notebook from Walmart or the Dollar Tree or something like that. Doesn't have to be anything special. You can do stream of consciousness writing, morning pages, or you can look up prompts to answer if you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to write. There are so many journal prompts out there, and I'm gonna give you some right now, so aren't you lucky? So Damon gives us these prompts to try writing about if you're looking for some. Otherwise, just write whatever comes to mind. Write about your mother, your father, your siblings, children, marriage, religion, spirituality, personal philosophy, what being a man/woman/non-binary person/human being means to you, love and affection, sex, romantic relationships, friendship, fantasies, what makes you happy, your career, your goals. So those are just some very broad topics that you can write about. Damon also gives some core questions if you're more of a, I need a question to answer. And our brains are funny because whenever there is a question, our brains will seek to answer that question. So sometimes it's a matter of finding the right questions to ask instead of, why am I such a shitty person? That's not the question you should be asking yourself. Maybe like, why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I avoiding? Stuff like that. Are your relationships fulfilling? What can you do to improve them? Are you happy in your work? Can you make it more rewarding and enjoyable? How would you like your life to be right now if you could have a magic wand? What are your spiritual and moral values? Are you neglecting an aspect of yourself? What are some things you can do to replace your addictive spending? The goal here is to write at least 5 days a week, but you can work up to this level. Start small. There is no required length to your entries. Just showing up and being consistent is enough to start building the habit. Even if you just doodle. You doodle a face, you doodle an elephant, you use some of your massive stash of planner stickers in, I'm feeling this way. Whatever's gonna work for you, do that. We're up to week 6. Week 6 goals. Number 1, to learn the techniques for delaying shopping. Damon suggests putting off shopping if it's not vitally necessary by at least 1 day, as well as doing frequent visualizations and relaxation techniques. Delaying shopping is an emotional exercise, and like a physical exercise, it may be uncomfortable or difficult. Try to bear the discomfort by telling yourself you are worthy of recovery and free, joyous living. When you're in a compulsive state, it's imperative to delay shopping until you're calmer and more rational. You can call your buddy as well for support. So this is where, it's important to monitor your feelings on your little calendar thing, because you don't want to be depressed and shopping, and you don't want to be too happy and be shopping, because any emotional extreme is going to warp our way of thinking and assessing the situation. So be mindful of that. So this is where we're going to get into what I did personally to myself during my recovery, and what I'm still doing now for the most part. A, seeing as this came out in 1990, I'm going to update this list with some things that I personally found effective in my recovery this year, 2023. I started by unsubscribing from mailing lists from shops, especially in my problem category, minus planners and stationery. When we're working on trying to lessen our obsession fuel, there's no need to borrow trouble by having it come directly into your inbox every day. B, if social media is contributing to your buying binges, really think hard about whether it's healthy for you to keep engaging with it. If you have to, and I say that with quotes because do you really have to? Set a timer and stop when the time is up. There are Chrome extensions to help with that, such as Newsfeed Eradicator. I cut down on consuming content around my problem area. For me, that meant watching less planner videos on YouTube. There's a Chrome extension called Distraction Free for YouTube, which erases the suggested content sidebar to the right if you're in a video already. So I couldn't queue up a huge list of videos and start obsessing. I also, for that, avoided new release kinds of videos because I didn't want to see what all the new stuff that I was going to be missing out on, because FOMO is real, you know? So the main goal here is to lessen your exposure to items that will trigger your obsession. C, if phone apps are your problem, delete them from your phone. Make it harder to access these problem sites, whatever they are for you. So let's say, personally, the Joann's app and the Michael's app, right? I deleted all of my shopping apps from my phone, including the Amazon shopping app. So I have to either go into my browser or I have to use my computer. I deleted any store apps from my phone, making it so I had to access them on my computer. You can make it even harder by having your browser forget your password and having to log in each and every time by hand as well. Add whatever layers of friction you need to keep getting access, annoying as fuck. D, if I still found myself at an online store, I would fill my cart with all of those things I wanted and I would look at it and say, one day, but not today. And then I would just close the tab entirely and then go do something else away from my computer. Because otherwise I will creep back. You know, we don't want to do that. We want to go somewhere else, distract our brains from the thing. E, I joined Debtors Anonymous. There's a link right there. Oh, and read about other people's struggles with their compulsive shopping or debiting. Debting, please. I started their 12 steps, and while ultimately this wasn't a good fit for me personally, it helped tons of people, and it was nice to know that I'm not alone. Yay, capitalism! I kept a recovery journal for the first few months of my recovery to monitor what I might be obsessing over, any feelings that were coming up about wanting to buy crap, and taking some reflection notes on the Debtors Anonymous daily reader that I found online that I was reading at the time. I shelved it because I'm done. I also kept a daily gratitude in the recovery journal, which I'm mostly keeping up with. This is my gratitude box down here at the bottom, and this would be, my daily timeline. This is the entry for the day. If I'm in there at all. Recently I have not been keeping up with it. G, I'm into woo stuff, in case you didn't know. I'm very into tarot and witchcraft and oracle cards and all this stuff. So I called upon some of that spiritual stuff to help me through the hardest parts, as well as just communicating with my husband. So I did a whole altar to Saturn in my Vlog Humbug series last December. I can link that above. Maybe some of you will want to watch it, but most of you probably won't, and that's fine. H, I know they talk a lot about higher powers in 12-step programs. They are originally Christian-based, which, doesn't fit with everybody, especially if you are an atheist. They've tried to kind of roll it back into a non-denominational type of thing, but, God is still used as a term, and for some people that can rub them the wrong way, and we need people to recover. So you don't have to be the least bit spiritual, though. Despite me having a chosen deity, I follow the Morrigan, the Irish battle goddess. I actually chose my marriage as my higher power, because this is, you can also call it your why, but this is about something beyond yourself and surrendering to something bigger than yourself. Not like, oh, my marriage is going to take care of this. That's not what I did. It's more like, as an act of dedication to my marriage, I have to do this. And for me, in my spiritual practice, I do a lot of acts of devotion and dedication to my deity. So I guess I approached it that way. You know, there's no wrong way to do it as long as you do it. That's the important part. This is not going to turn into a spiritual battle or something like that, but do whatever is going to work for you. I didn't want to be the villain in my own story anymore. I wanted to be the hero. So it's time to rewrite it. So number 2. So that's the end of the stuff that I did. Okay. So number 2 is to diminish the need to shop by cultivating alternate means of gratification. Basically here, you're looking to use up the energy that you'd otherwise be using on shopping, whether that's going out to the stores and trolling the aisles, or whether that is just sitting on your computer or your phone and browsing websites and online shopping. Amazon has made it so easy to just click a button. You don't have to feel the money leaving your fingers anymore. It's just like, oh yeah, I want that. And that's part of our problem as a society now, but we're not going to get into it. Whenever you quit something, you will replace it with something else. It's just human nature. It's best to do this as intentionally as possible when you're in recovery, though, and you don't just let whatever happens happen, because sometimes this can become a new method of drowning out and distracting us from ourselves and the stuff we can't face, which is what fueled our compulsive shopping in the first place. And sometimes this can literally be going from one addiction to another, and we don't want that, right? We want to be able to get ourselves to a healthy place. It might help to make a list of all the things you have thought you would like to try, then pick out 1 or 2 of the most appealing ones and try them. Once you are no longer a slave to shopping, you will have the energy and time to broaden your interests. This is an exercise that you can do in your journal. I highly recommend making a recovery journal of some kind, whatever that looks like to you. Okay, number 3, to reduce the frequency, duration, and intensity of your compulsive spending. When you do shop, decide beforehand what you are going to buy. Think about whether you need or even want the item, and check your lists to make sure you don't already own it or something just like it. This is where keeping a digital list is handy, since you will benefit from using the search function if your lists are especially long. If you shop frequently, try to reduce the number of days in which you shop. If you drop a lot of money at once, try to reduce your order by at least 25 to 50% before you check out if you can't 100% resist. Try not to be self-critical. Awareness is always the first step here. Once you start being aware of your actions and your mental/emotional/physical state, you can start asking yourself questions and unravel the situation from there before the situation unravels you instead. Week 7, we're almost done. Week 7 goals. Your goal in the 7th week is to eliminate chaos in your life by organizing your financial affairs. That's right. It's time to get your budget on. Also, if it helps to not call it a budget, try calling it a spending plan. If you come from the plannerverse like I do, we love a good plan. There are thousands of budget videos and blog articles out there, so I am not going to go into how to budget here, as that's not the point of this printable/review/video. That being said, facing your finances and confronting your debt can be overwhelming, so make sure you're taking care of yourself and doing the relaxation techniques while you go through this process. Instead of belittling yourself if your finances are in chaos, commend yourself for taking the steps to straighten them out. So yes, things might have gone off the rails, but we can't change the past. We can only learn from our mistakes and do better going forward. Week 8. Week 8 goals, the last final week. Sort of. Your goals in the 8th week are, number 1, to reduce the number of credit cards you have. And then number 2, to take stock of your progress and confirm your commitment to recovery. Damon recommends keeping credit cards that require you to pay off the entire balance at the end of the billing cycle. She suggests American Express, but I have no idea if in 2023 this is still a thing for Amex. I know that you can switch your payment options on your credit cards to do that, to, pay off your statement, your entire balance. I don't know. If you have a really, really, really big balance, maybe that's not possible for you right now, but you want to get into the habit of paying stuff off as you put stuff on your card so that you're not carrying a balance. Obviously, do what you can afford. And as the minimalists love to say, if you have to use a credit card, you can't afford it, which valid, but don't call me out like that. First, do a creative visualization in which you picture yourself dispensing with your credit cards and feeling happy and strong afterward. Write down and repeat out loud this affirmation: the less credit I have, the freer I am. And according to Dave Ramsey, who I have mixed feelings on, by the way, your credit score is a debt score. Though there's some validity to this way of thinking, I'm not going to get into it because I might rant. So we're going to skip. That being said, our goal is to learn how to be responsible with our resources. Whether you absolutely cannot have a credit card or not, only you are going to know, and be honest with yourself about it. If it is too much of a temptation for you, eliminate it, because you have to do what's best for yourself. Final page. Then start cutting up your cards. Hold a funeral service if you have to, and I'm not joking. Pay attention to how you feel at just the idea of cutting up your cards. Do you experience a contraction, a visceral, grabby reaction? Does your inner golem come out and say, mine, my own, my precious? Journal about it. Eventually get yourself down to only one credit card. Or if you have like a business, one personal, one business. That's it. Like the Highlander, there can be only one. Get it? More importantly, go at your own pace. Recovery is not something to bull rush your way through, nor is it a straight line. Go easy on yourself. You will most likely experience withdrawal, possibly even depression. Your main coping mechanism and method of seeking your high or joy or whatever has just been taken away. See again, week 6, number 2. If you're subtracting something from your life, it will leave a void. Make sure you are filling it with something that will lift you up and not just shift into a new addiction as a way of not facing your issues. Remember, addiction is a coping mechanism and an attempt to escape pain. Really think about what you are avoiding and how you are hurting. I know it isn't easy from experience, but you are so much stronger than you believe you are. Part of this process is going to be allowing yourself to actively process grief. And I know that might sound weird since we usually think of grief as being the loss of a loved one, but this process is going to highlight wounds and emotions we don't want to look at, about grieving the parts of ourselves that we've lost or hidden in fear that we were unacceptable. The reason these things are stuck in us is because we did not or could not process them at the time they happened, whether by necessity or by fear or whatever. Pushing them down and covering them up will only keep them festering inside of you, where they're going to keep causing trouble until you can face them. Secrets breed shame, and shame fuels addiction. At the end of your 8 weeks, just take a little check-in with yourself and congratulate yourself for getting this far. Even if it's taken longer to get through the exercises than 8 weeks, the fact that you're moving forward is powerful and you should celebrate that. Confirm your commitment to the process by also acknowledging that for those of us in recovery is a state that needs constant awareness and self-compassion, and not a destination where you cross a finish line. It's possible that the urge to overshop and spend beyond our means will always be with us, just as it's possible, given enough time, you may be completely fine. Both experiences are completely valid, and it's important to not compare your recovery to another person's. We are all different and have had different life experiences and ways of doing things. So our ways of recovering are going to look different. I wish you luck on your journey. From a fellow shopaholic, I see you. You are valid and you can do this. You just have to be open to walking a new path despite the shadows along the way. And that's all we have for you here at Plannerpocalypse. Once again, I will have all of the links for the free printable down below. It's going to be one link. It's not like all the links. It's one. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this is going to be helpful for somebody out there. So I really hope and wish everyone the best. Please, this Black Friday, do not overspend. Please think about if you really need the thing or if you can live without it. And have a happy holiday. Bye. Relax your buttocks. Sorry. Relax the middle of your back. This garbage truck is ruining my meditation. I'm trying to relax here. You're so loud. You're so loud. Go away. I'm working. Oh, there's a crow somewhere. How cute.